ask Turkey and the regional allies we have to form an army, and we'd be part of that army, and we'd go in and take territory back from ISIL, and we'd have to hold it. Then you try to get political reconciliation between the Alawites and the rest of the population in Syria.
How do you get out?
You don't get out. You don't get out.
Oh boy, the mass media loves nothing better than a good story about political friends hopefully becoming hated rivals in order to drum up hyperbole. A candidate who has become the veritable punching bag. And why not add another hopeful who every time he opens his mouth makes the majority of people go, excuse me? Swing open the gates, let loose the political animal. Veteran talk radio host, Newsmax political analyst Larry Elder, New York Post weekly columnist and author of Got Religion, Naomi Schaefer Riley. I thank you both for joining us. And Naomi, I'm going to begin with you first on this one. The Robert Morris University Polling Institute comes out with this brand spanking new poll. God, we love numbers here in America. Bush, Rubio, Walker top a cluster of 7, polling between 7 and 15%. But the big thing I think here to notice is Rand Paul gets 2% of the Republican survey. Naomi, weren't we told that he was going to be one of the leaders here?
Well, he certainly knows how to get the press, but I'm not sure that he knows how to win over Republicans. And I think a lot of people are beginning to wonder whether his approach to foreign policy is really the adult one that we have come to expect from Republicans. I mean, certainly on the left, we have gotten a lot of childishness and immaturity when it comes to our affairs around the world. And I think people are hoping that whoever is the Republican candidate is much better at that. And Rand Paul keeps sticking his foot in his mouth. He says he's a friend of Israel, but he wants nothing better than to run us out of the Middle East as quickly as possible.
Here we get that friend of Israel thing. Now, Larry, to you, because here we get a lot of people in the GOP who are screaming while all the others are out there being serious. They're saying that Rand Paul is grandstanding, and all he's looking for is to get more money to his presidential campaign. You buy that?
Well, I don't buy the part about grandstanding. I think he's running for president, so they're all grandstanding in that sense. My problem, and I think their problem with Rand Paul, is not only that he opposed the war in Iraq, he also said that the war was all about Cheney and Halliburton, echoing some of the same silly themes that you'll hear on MSNBC. It's one thing to oppose the war for tactical reasons, geopolitical reasons, another thing to impugn the motives of George W. Bush. And that really ticked off a lot of people in the Republican primaries.
Yeah, but is it possible, though, and wait a minute now, I know I got to play a little bit of that edge here. Is it possible, though, Larry, that he's a little right?
Oh, it's possible that he's right about the regret that people have about going there, but he's wrong about why we went there. We did not go there because of Dick Cheney. We did not go there because of Halliburton. We went there because we were attacked on 9/11, and things changed. Saddam Hussein, we assumed, had stockpiles of WMD, and that's why we were there. That's why overwhelmingly both sides, Republicans and Democrats, voted for the war.
Okay, wanted to make sure we got that all cleared up. Naomi, I'm going to come to you next here, because here's Lindsey Graham on Meet the Press. And I got to tell you, this one I think caught me and caught a lot of people, because he's basically saying that you don't get out of the Middle East. You stay there. The question was, you've got troops in Afghanistan. He wants to leave them there, arm the Ukrainians, add more troops in Iraq, recruit allies to start a new war. And Chuck Todd asks, how do you get out? He says, you don't get out. Are we supposed to just stay there as an occupying force for the next several hundred years? Is that the only way to keep peace?
Well, I don't think he said you stay there as an occupying force, but I think, if you should turn around and ask the people who are asking this question, how do you propose to get out? Because so far, our attempts under this administration to get out have been total failures. I mean, we have really totally lost ground in terms of our strategic position in the Middle East. And so I think Lindsey Graham is very realistic. He's looking at this and saying, for the foreseeable future, you could say forever if you want, but for the foreseeable future, nothing is changing except things are getting worse. And there's no way that a responsible administration can let us leave anytime soon.
Larry, I think that there's a lot of people who would agree with Lindsey Graham and say, look, without the United States, without an allied force there, the Middle East has proven that they cannot hold their own ground. They cannot keep peace themselves. So the only way to keep the world safe is for the United States to be there. It's a good point.
Well, that's exactly what he meant. He meant that for the indefinite future, we're going to have people there. We don't know how long. I love it how the media wants to know what your exit strategy is. When are you going to get out? When are you going to get out? Telling the enemy when you're going to leave is foolish. It just makes things worse. All he's doing is reciting something very realistic. We still have troops in South Korea. We still have troops in Europe. We're going to have people in the Middle East for the indefinite future, and that's all Lindsey Graham meant.
All right, now I got a couple minutes left here. We have to get down to Mike Huckabee, because at the beginning I pointed out that there are some things that people say, and every now and then you go, excuse me, this might be one of them. Mike Huckabee, 2015 National Religious Broadcasters Convention in Nashville, said that he wished he knew he could have acted like a transgender so he could have felt like a woman so that he could shower with the girls back in high school. Here's what he said.
Now, I wish someone had told me when I was in high school that I could have felt like a woman when it came time to take showers in PE. I'm pretty sure I would have found my feminine side and said, Coach, I think I'd rather shower with the girls today.
All right, Larry. Now, this has been brought up again. This is a website now that's picked this up from February. But was this a smart thing to say?
First of all, he said it a long time ago. It's the standard thing he says on his stump speech.
But he did say
he only meant the same thing that probably every teenage boy has said since these laws have come down, and that is, I think today I'm going to be a woman. That way I'll be able to look at the girls in the bathroom. That's all he meant. Maybe it was a little immature, but for crying out loud, I don't think we need to march on Washington because of it.
Well, no, but I mean, let's get to you, Naomi, on this. There are some people, a lot of people have written me and said this was a little creepy for him to say.
I don't think it was creepy. I just think, Huckabee is trying to channel his inner comedian. And, he thought he was being funny. And, the culture is not there right now. I mean, even among people who are quite religious, I think the reaction has been, things like, well, look, we are all broken. We are all not our authentic selves. We need to understand and empathize and sympathize, even if we think that this was not a transition that we agree with. And unfortunately, Huckabee was not echoing those sentiments. He was just sort of trying to get a laugh, which I think he does a lot. And usually it goes over better than it did this time.
And proving once again that no matter what you say, when it's on video, somebody on the internet will dig it up, even a website that claims to be about as far right as you can possibly imagine. Larry Elder, Naomi Schaefer Riley, always a pleasure to have you both on the show. Thanks so much. We'll do it again soon.
Thank you.
Stay with us here on The Hard Line, because coming up, breadcrumbs dropping in the hunt against Hillary.